Want to hear some of that techno music?
So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode 302, season 8, The Ocho.
Capturing Bigfoot with AI, music conspiracy, AT&T cyber attacks, and ThunderCow.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, it begins again. Welcome to the CreepGeeks Podcast. If this is your very first time tuning in, we're glad to have you here. And if you're a long-time listener, we're even more glad to have you here.
Yeah.
So anyway, got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And yeah, let's like I say on YouTube, let's get into it, guys. I hate that. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to support the podcast, there's a couple different ways you could do it. But the big thing is we have a toll-free number that we'd like you to call if you want to leave us a message.
Yeah, that phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Yeah. All right. So last podcast, we talked about a bunch of stuff, and it was kind of some animal stuff. And, you know, it was exciting, but I can't for the life of me really remember.
Basically, this is the time of year where animals start coming out of the woodwork.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And there's more animal-related stuff, and that's going to continue with this particular podcast because there has been a couple more relatively interesting animal things. I don't know why I was thinking about camels, but it's weird.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
We used to have a camel in our neighborhood, and by neighborhood,
That's
I
true.
mean down the road from us.
Yeah, he lived he had a big field, and he had a little sign, and people would wave at him and stuff, and
yeah.
And I mean, it was neat, but I was wondering if he was just lonely because he was just standing there.
He was.
It'd be raining, and he'd just be standing there.
Apparently, he had the ability to go all the way back to his barn, and the neighbors, their fence paralleled, so he could interact with the goats if he wanted to, which I guess he didn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Goats suck.
But he did pass away from old age. Maybe you're thinking about him because there's an out for sale sign. So, yeah.
Well, maybe, but I've also been looking at stuff like with the Red Sea. You know, I spent time in the Navy in the Red Sea, and we did stuff in the Red Sea, and you could go to the hotels. And at the time, it was a big German hotel, and you could basically get your picture taken with a camel, right? They'd get you up on the camel, and you put on the stuff, and get a picture snapped or two, and then, you know, to get down, they would often want you to pay more. So you paid, you know, to get your picture taken on this camel, right?
Yeah.
This was also a place where they had like wild monkeys, like in cages, and you could rent a monkey.
Okay.
Which is not safe, you know, but it was like, okay, hey, we're in a foreign country, but it was, you know, the hotel mainly had Germans in it and stuff, and it was like a German hotel. But yeah, you know, you get your picture taken on this camel, and, you know, they wanted you to pay, and I remember, you know, deciding we're not going to pay.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay extra. It's extortion.
Okay.
So I remember seeing the camel running off across the beach sands. Some dude from Texas. Me riding, and the guy running after him trying to get that money back. It was during an award ceremony too, because the ship had an award ceremony, and there he was, just undulating across the beach. So fun times. All right, so anyway, let's talk about some stuff. We had a visitor, and we went and had some dinner. That was pretty cool. Adam,
Yeah.
you know Adam. Adam's a friend and a supporter of the show. Came by and chatted a little bit in his quest. Basically, he wants to travel. He wants to do stuff, and he's got a little, travel trailer action going on.
Yeah, and he did.
And so,
he reached out to me and asked some basic travel stuff and like road trip type stuff.
Yeah,
and
he went all in, man.
Yeah, and it was surprising because like some of it, I was like, okay, I used to know this stuff like off the top of my head, and now that I've researched, I was like, well, you know, for Adam, let's go ahead and research. There's a few things that have changed.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things have changed.
You know,
and especially if you do like camper van or van life stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
because people get on Instagram, see what an amazing time it is, and they go out there and they ruin it for everybody.
yeah.
And they are continually ruining it, and it's just getting driven into the ground. You can't park places where you used to be able to park because people do dumb stuff like, let me pull into a Walmart parking lot and kick the slides of my trailer out and barbecue and have a party in the park. It's like, dude, you're ruining it. People are dirtbags.
Or, like, I was talking to my sister-in-law recently about a new luxury RV park that's going to be opening up close by. And their rules involve things like, no RV is less than 5 years older than today's date.
That's right. No camper vans, all that kind of stuff. Got to keep out the riffraff as they charge you over $100 a night to go park in another neighborhood with rules. You might as well just go live in an HOA neighborhood.
Or even
do all that.
Like increases in prices to stay in national parks. Like,
yeah.
I think it was last year, Smoky Mountain Park announced that you have to pay to park now.
Yeah, we haven't been back since, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, it was fun talking to Adam. Glad he stopped by.
Yeah.
So that was good. If you guys are listening to the podcast and you're going to reach out, you can do that. Yeah. May have a little lunch action or something, a little dinner. It's all good. So yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Right. So speaking of capturing Bigfoot using AI.
Lovely segue there.
It's spelled Sigu.
I know that.
And so anyway, Google has an AI, and it offers some strange advice on how to capture Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I didn't want to read the article. I wanted to be just as enamored with what it says. So, of course, everything we talk about on the podcast, there are links that will take you there if you want to check it out on your own.
Yeah.
But, the article comes from unexplainedmysteries.com. And it says, so far, nobody's been able to prove Bigfoot exists, let alone capture one. So how would an AI approach the problem? And AI is big in everything now, right?
Yeah.
So it's, with artificial intelligence slowly but surely becoming an increasingly significant part of our lives, it stands to reason that sooner or later AI would be consulted in an effort to solve some of the world's most prominent unsolved mysteries.
Yeah.
So in a recent piece on Bigfoot by the Daily Star, this is what the authors did. So the artificial intelligence consultant in this particular instance was Google Bard. So Google has their AI is called Google Bard.
Yeah.
And it was asked what they're saying are tongue-in-cheek questions on how one might go about capturing a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
So as I read this, I'm already angry. It's like, okay, so if they're just going to poke fun at it, I mean, you would think, because somebody is asking it seriously.
Yeah.
Because I never even thought of that. Okay. So here's the AI's response. And it's kind of weird. To begin with, it suggested that a prospective Bigfoot hunter would employ or should employ elaborate displays with flashing lights, strange sounds, and irresistible scents to pique its curiosity to draw it out.
Now that...
Hold on, let's go. Let's do a couple of these, all right? This was followed up with the suggestion that a giant net be used to actually capture the animal because the average Bigfoot is large enough to be caught in a giant net. Right?
Yeah.
Facts. So then Google's Bard AI then decided it would be a good idea for the creature's kidnappers to dress up in elaborate Bigfoot costumes and attempt to infiltrate its community. Right?
Uh-huh.
Create a life-sized realistic Bigfoot suits and costumes to gain trust.
Okay.
Okay, so suffice to say, it's unlikely we'll have to worry about this particular AI taking over the world anytime soon. That's the tongue-in-cheek part.
Yeah, but also, never in here did they disclose exactly how they worded the question to the AI. They say, a somewhat tongue-in-cheek question on how one might go about capturing Sasquatch. No, what you type in matters.
Yeah.
And out of all of these suggestions, which are a little mundane, but also a little strange, which is what your typical result with AI.
Yeah.
There's always something about it that's off.
Which is good, because it needs to be that way.
But the top one, I want to point out how clever that is of the AI. Because it says, prospective Bigfoot hunters employ elaborate displays with flashing lights, strange sounds, and irresistible scents to pique its curiosity and draw it out. What do we see in almost every single paranormal or Bigfoot clip on TV and social media? We see large spotlights involved with its UFOs and ghost hunting, sometimes with Bigfoot. We see flashing lights, Bigfoot calls and pre-recorded sounds, and, using like animal musk, which is, but all of those are things that the AI would have had to observe by checking out the clips, the keywords and tagging of videos, or the commentary or captioning of TV shows. So the AI was smart enough to pick up those things.
Well, I mean, it's not that it's smart. That's the only thing it can pick up on.
Well,
it's using the material on the internet.
Because it could have just easily picked up on, me and my buddies went into the woods. Why didn't it say that? Or, if it's drawing data, I mean, how many times has, like, it didn't say, like, Shane Dawson or, Bigfoot personality name. It said, this general summary from all of the things it did crawl the internet for.
Yeah.
So I think it's very clever.
Well,
but
I mean, it could watch clips just like we can.
Yeah.
And there are groups that will do that. They'll set up, that's, who did we talk to? We were as Kentucky Bigfoot hunters. They said they'd like to do that. And there's a lot of places. I think BFRO does that, right? Mm-hmm. Or some where they go and you kind of set up like a camp situation, and you'll cook hamburgers or whatever and kind of hang out. And then hopefully all the humanistic activity with the delicious scents and all that stuff draws things closer.
Yeah, but it would have had to actually watch that. I mean,
or read it. It's not going to really watch a whole lot. I mean, it would definitely read it.
FYI, Bard got renamed to Gemini.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we got invited to use Bard a while ago, and it was, I had a hard time with it. So I didn't. So maybe it's better now that it's called Gemini, but yeah. Now somebody I know has probably written some of these steps down. Like, all right, step 1, let's make us a Bigfoot costume. Let's call all of our furry friends and get out there. I don't think I'd want to dress up like a Bigfoot and get out there because unless you're out in an area where you're not going to see man for days, what's going to happen? You go cruising around in the woods wearing a ghillie-looking Bigfoot suit. Yeah. It's entirely possible, depending on the time of year, you might get shot at. We've talked about it in the podcast in the past where somebody shot somebody because they thought they were Bigfoot. Just straight up shot them like a hunter. And then they got charged with it because they're like, we think you probably knew that was a dude. Because he was like, it looked like a Bigfoot, so I shot a Bigfoot. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe we should ask it some real questions.
Oh, I just tried to ask it.
So there you go. Right?
Here's the thing. This frustrates me. How to get abducted by aliens in a UFO. That's the first thing I said. And it says there's no guaranteed way to be abducted by aliens. Extraterrestrial encounters remain firmly in the realm of science fiction, though exciting, ! Here's why. And it says, because they're unknown beings.
I don't need to be fact-checked by some AI. Yeah. You ain't even real, man.
And because of advanced technology, if UFOs are real, they're likely piloted by advanced beings who might not need us to initiate contact. However, fictional stories about alien abductions are popular for a reason. Here's some interesting concepts along that theme.
Yeah, I don't care about
fiction. Write a story.
Yeah, false.
Documentaries. Watch documentaries. And I'm like, okay, remember, staying safe is important. Don't wander into dangerous areas at night, and be aware of your surroundings. So that's my only
And this is
clues.
Google Bard, right?
Yeah, Gemini, yeah.
Gemini. There was a conspiracy. It still may be, or it hasn't fully blown up yet. Yeah. Depending on what you search for, using, like, to make pictures, like make it just, whatever, it won't show you conservative people. Like, it will not. It doesn't identify conservative people. Like, we're talking like politicians and congressmen and things like that, but it will identify the other side. Well, it will not. It's like, nope. And which is odd. And I think that if you're going to provide search results, that you should try to be unbiased and just provide whatever we ask for. Yeah. So if they're making their AI with a slant one way or the other, I think that's probably problematic, because what happens when it decides that your AI Bigfoot questions or UFO questions or maybe conspiracy questions are dangerous or harmful, and then it just basically starts sending all your information somewhere?
Yeah. So, well, I'm already trying to put myself on whatever place it's going to send me to, because I just typed how to capture Mothman.
Well, you're on the list now.
Yeah, and basically it just tells me it's a legendary cryptid, so capturing the one in the real world is likely impossible. However, here's a way to encounter Mothman in the video game Fallout 76.
Nice. You should ask him about this.
Foo Fighters!
How to get Foo Fighters.
I typed how to see the Loch Ness Monster, and it gave me travel tips. So, oh wow, it actually gave me real travel tips. And the Loch Ness webcam.
It's all about money. It's Google's barge about the monies.
I'm not going to type Foo Fighters.
No, don't type Foo Fighters. Anyway, let's move on. Who cares? Let's move into this. This is 12 Unbelievable Music Conspiracy Theories.
Okay.
Now, I've heard of some of these, and the good thing about this is on Mental Floss. It's a website, right? And they're really short blurbs, so we don't have to go down the rabbit hole, because somebody else already has, and they took the basically Cliff Notes helicopter view and put it in a little form. So we're not going to talk about all of them. We're only going to talk about the ones that I think are interesting.
I do want to talk about the first one, though.
All right, well, then you talk about it, because I'm not going to talk about it because I don't think that one's interesting.
I am sick of the first one, only because it's dominated headlines for a while now. And the first one is basically the most recent music conspiracy. The NFL playoffs were rigged because Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So there's all this drama right now going on about Taylor Swift and her highly publicized romance with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. And it's saying that just because she was in attendance and because of who she is, the Super Bowl got rigged. And I think of all the possible reasons and all the things.
Rigged how? What was the rigging? Now, you have to, full disclosure, we didn't watch the Super Bowl. We're not sports ball people.
Yeah. So that the rigging is that when the Chiefs squared off against San Francisco, the conspiracy is that the Chiefs would nab those championship rings. That the whole thing was scripted and pre-planned, and the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, is currently fighting this. But it's a huge conspiracy theory that's on TikTok right now, including close-ups of the Chiefs talking, and players talking, and just other random stuff. And I'm just no. I understand a lot of people like Taylor Swift, but a lot of people, including not just football fans, but people who have gambling addictions, people who are really into certain things, there's too much weighing on the playoffs. So it's a ridiculous conspiracy.
Well, they're all ridiculous. Depending on how you look at it, they're all ridiculous. That's the thing about a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So let's move into this one. This one I like is because it's basically is Jay-Z in the Illuminati. All right, so this is a rabbit hole that goes for miles about the Illuminati and sacrifices, and basically if you want to find and kind of go through some of the stuff, you got to look at Cat Williams.
Yeah.
And his interviews that he's done, and the fact that now he's actually done Joe Rogan. It's a pretty deep rabbit hole to run down, but we're not going to go too deep into it because it does get there's Will Smith. It's just
and they're using the time traveler theory too for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the sort of original, I won't say original, but this is the early on sort of conspiracy. Yeah. Because the whole thing is you got to sell your soul to the devil. You got to do things like shame ritual. You have to do all these rituals you have to do, and that's how you become successful. And there's a pretty long one that goes on about Kevin Hart and all of this stuff. And it's kind of nuts, man. So if you want to waste your time on TikTok, you can certainly it's all right. So is Jay-Z in the Illuminati? And more importantly, would it keep you from blasting his music, right? Yeah. And it's Conspiracy theorists believe that Jay-Z is a member of a secret society called Illuminati that supposedly has the ability to control world affairs, and the proof is in the rapper's diamond cutter hand symbol. You make the diamond with your hands. Yeah. I think Diamond Dallas Page did that in wrestling too, but he's not listed here. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's believed that that hand symbol is connected to Illuminati's all-seeing eye. Yeah. Which is, part of the pyramid symbols. And so conspiracy theorists believe that Jay-Z has the power of mind control and time traveler, which is what you're talking about, or time travel, that's what you're talking about. In 2013, the curator at New York Public Library unearthed a Sid Grossman photo from 1939. It depicts two men, and one of them looks very similar to the Brooklyn-born rap superstar.
And I would like to point out, there is a lot of these 1930s era photographs are used in arguments to say certain actors and people are time travelers.
Well, yeah, they got them from the Civil War too, like Nick Cage.
Yeah, Nick Cage, Keanu Reeves, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. Even a Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber. Sorry, Justin Bieber one. There's a bunch of them. And when those started to circulate in like 2013 to 2015, because I remember I think it was the Nicolas Cage one was the one that I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was along the same time that I heard Jay-Z, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, Lana Del Rey were all like Illuminati or reptilian.
Yeah, and there's witchcraft involved. Where there's like a witch who attends, and there's pictures of this witch, and it's crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're into it and you know way more about it than we do, you should probably comment or something on our Facebook page because it gets pretty involved. Here's one, excuse me, that I've heard. See that? The Illuminati got me.
They got your throat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Michael Jackson's death was planned to cover up political protest.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a conspiracy with him, the fact that, or not the fact, but the idea that his mom is not his mom. And that he's a product of love child. I believe it was Diana Ross. Oh. And Quincy Jones, I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's songs that reflect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a weird thing, and you can get deep into that too.
See.
So the conspiracy is a little bit on the heavy side, right? It says that the star's accidental drug overdose was not an accident at all, but rather the Iranian government's well-orchestrated attempt to divert Western media coverage of the political protests in Iran that happened in June of 2009.
Yeah.
Where the Iranians disputed the presidential election of Ahmadinejad. Then he got reelected. Supposedly, the Iranian government tried to block news coverage, and the protesters took to social media to get the word out. But most of the U.S. news outlets were covering Michael Jackson's death.
Yeah.
And then there's the CIA murdered John Lennon.
Yeah, everybody's heard that one.
Yeah. And then basically, he was, Mark David Chapman was just a pawn in John Lennon's assassination. And so the real mastermind of the Beatles' death was supposed to be the CIA, and according to the theory, the organization recruited Chapman to kill Lennon because CIA was secretly surveying and recording artists for his basically anti-American, anti-capitalist views.
Yeah.
Political views and pacifism.
That's an interesting one.
What? Chris Christopherson's Lizard?
Yeah. That kind of threw me off.
Yeah. David Icke published a book called The Biggest Secret, which details his beliefs that a majority of the world's political leaders and celebrities are actually members of a race of reptilian aliens called the Babylonian Brotherhood.
Oh, my gosh.
They're from the constellation Draco and have the ability to shapeshift into human form and control all of humanity.
Oh, mm-hmm. All right.
So the internet basically loves that theory, and I can see why. And Chris Christopherson is reportedly one of these shapeshifters, and other members of the Babylonian Brotherhood allegedly include Barack Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton, and the late Queen Elizabeth II, along with Pope Francis.
Okay.
Let's just pick the most popular people in the world and call them lizard people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also been some other, you've seen the little video clips where they'll have a grainy video clip and somebody looks one way and it looks like their face is shifting and their eyes blink sideways and all this crazy stuff. And they're like, reptilians. Yeah. There's one that Andrew WK is not the real Andrew WK.
Yeah, but we've heard similar ones, like the real Avril Lavigne's not the real.
Well, her name's Lavigne.
Lavigne, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that one that she died and that she was basically replaced.
Yeah.
And
there's a couple of them.
Even like, and they said that, it's a rabbit hole. She sings different, she talks different, she sounds different, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you've got Beyonce was never pregnant. And I've seen this one where it showed that it looked like she was just never pregnant because there was some clips and views, where it looks like she was wearing a foam pregnancy bump thing and all sorts of weird stuff.
Now, to counter that, it is celebrities and fashion and music. And I remember the media getting very riled up because I think it was Pamela Anderson when she filmed Barbed Wire, which was a horrible movie. They still jammed her in a corset until she didn't look pregnant.
No, I understand that. But the idea is that she didn't want to give up her figure, so she had a surrogate carry her daughter, Blue Ivy Carter, and this is in 2011. And so she announced her pregnancy by rubbing her belly bump at the tail end of a music video awards in 2011. It says, however, a week before her performance on MTV, Beyonce performed concert, and many believe that she showed no signs at all of being pregnant.
Yeah.
So how do you go from nothing to a bump in the span of a week, right? And so the conspiracy theory also stemmed from an interview with Beyonce after she did the MTV VMAs, where she rubbed her belly and it seemed to fold as she sat down. That doesn't happen. They don't fold.
Okay.
Yeah. They'll overlap. I happen to have a gut and it never folds. It just sort of hangs over, right? So, yeah. And so they thought that she was wearing a prosthetic pregnancy belly. And of course the singer denied that she was a surrogate, and the footage that aired during the On the Run tour shows her naked belly bump, seemingly, to prove the conspiracy wrong.
Yeah.
Another theory is gangster rap was invented to fill prisons.
We're not going to get into that.
No, I don't. I mean, I think that there's a correlation between gangster rap and people going to prison, because that's the thing, right? Like, there's also supposed to be a link between video games and violent activities.
Yeah.
Right? All this is proven, right?
No.
It's completely proven. It's true.
Oh, and heavy metal leads to Satanism.
Absolutely. It's all true.
Oh, my God. No, don't say stuff like that.
What? I'll say whatever I want. And if people want to ask me, I'll answer the question. Do you really think I believe that? Or do you not know how sarcasm works? Oh, look, a mockingbird. Look, a mockingbird. Right? That's sort of
Stop. I mean, this is interesting, but it's a very bold theory to state.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one I'm so tired of. The Wizard of Oz and Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
If you started at a certain time, it goes right along with it. I think it's an incredible coincidence, although it would be super cool if that was actually true and Pink Floyd themselves did that.
And you'd actually have to start.
If anything, it wouldn't be Pink Floyd who actually did that. It would be the engineer, the audio engineer who basically engineered the record to be able to make the master press and all that stuff. I mean, I could see somebody doing that thinking that was super cool.
You'd have to play the record around 2.5 times to get the audio to perfectly sync with the picture.
Yep.
So, yeah. So it's a non-starter, as Alan Parsons says, who is Pink Floyd's audio engineer.
Well, Alan Parsons.
Yeah.
And his records are super weird as well. I could see him doing this on purpose. Because the dude knows his stuff, and he has iParsons Project and iRobot and all sorts of stuff. It's pretty out there. Pretty good.
This one's no longer feasible. Elvis is alive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's Elvis is alive. It's been one of those things. They say people look like Elvis, and there's been all the conspiracy stuff, and he faked his death in 1977 because he was tired of being famous, and there's a few other clues, and the fact that his wife Priscilla mentioned a couple times, speaking like he's in present tense, things like that. For a while there was a theory that this guy who looks like Elvis could have been Elvis's kid.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing.
There's a movie that's inspired by that.
Yeah. But the thing is that when the kid was born and the years don't line up for that to sort of happen. Paul McCartney is dead. Is another one that he died in a car accident, was replaced with a lookalike. This is the whole, Paul McCartney, because they went on basically on an album where the cover features the hand above McCartney's head. That was on Lonely Hearts Club Band, Sgt. Pepper's, right? And he's facing backwards, and they really read into all this stuff, and then allegedly he could play it backwards or something like that, and Paul is dead.
Yeah.
That was a conspiracy in the 70s that I knew about. And the same thing when you play certain records backwards and you get the backward masking sounds and this says certain things, and like Black Sabbath and all this other junk. Kiss was another one.
Yeah.
Avril Lavigne was replaced by lookalike. You mentioned that.
Yeah. How come it's not mentioning the other one?
What other one?
That Britney Spears has been replaced by a lookalike.
Because that's new.
Oh, okay.
That's a conspiracy that people that watch Instagram clips and TikTok videos and stuff say that the Britney that dances all crazy on there is not Britney.
Yeah.
But there, at the time it was, and now it seems like, I like the one that we were talking about, is that it's not her.
Yeah.
The face changes during the dance where the AI drops the face and it looks like it's her sister Jamie Lynn Spears' face and eyes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there was some a theory that her now husband is the one that's controlling things and that Britney's actually not here anymore and that he's keeping it alive to keep the money after she got released from her conservatorship. So yeah, these are some relatively lame ones, but it is what it is. There's a whole bunch of these if you really start digging into it. Like with Kurt Cobain didn't actually commit suicide and then he was murdered.
Yeah.
Because of a coroner who wrote a book who is now being investigated for that. Because I started to do, as I grabbed little clips and stuff to talk about for the podcast, a couple weeks ago, I had clips and links and stuff set aside so we could do music conspiracies. But it became such a rabbit hole, and it was a lot of work that didn't really have any sort of payoff. And I'm like, I don't know if people would be too interested in it. And so this Mental Floss just sort of did these little blurbs. I'm like, I like this because it kind of gives enough to where if you really want to dig into it, you can. But I mean, there's some of these conspiracies have been going on since the celebrity died or since it was brought up. And we're talking 20, 30 years. I mean, the one from Paul McCartney, that's been going on since the 70s, man. We're like 50 years in.
Huh.
Another one was who killed Tupac. Who really killed Tupac. That was a recent thing that sort of popped up. So, yep.
Huh. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, moving back into the podcast, I think we need to be fair, I found an article.
Yes.
That I thought I would put in here. And it's from studyfinds.com, or .org. So I don't know, never seen this website before. Right? Mm-hmm. It's a .org. So
that adds legitimacy.
Well, no, it doesn't. But.
On Friday, I had to turn off 23 .orgs.
Nice.
That's part of my job.
Did they deserve it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, then, there you go. So, according to studyfinds.org, right, the study says female psychopaths are surprisingly common.
That is a very misleading headline.
But I'm just saying what it says. So don't come at me, bro, because this is not me.
Oh, I'll come at these people.
You can come at here. That's fine. There's 39 comments, but basically what it says, right? While the word psychopath usually conjures up images of a knife-wielding attacker or masked assailants for most people, not all psychopaths are serial killers. That's true. The vast majority simply blend in with the rest of society, all while masking their cold and calculating true nature. Okay. So now, new research set for presentation in Cambridge, this is United Kingdom, may just disprove another psychopath falsity. Mm-hmm. Most depictions and popular examples of psychopath in media are male, but the study argues female psychopaths are up to 5 times more common than currently believed.
Okay.
Okay, so according to his latest research, the real ratio of male to female psychopathy is roughly 1 to 2 to 1.
No, I thought it was current estimates tell us male psychopaths outnumber females by roughly 6 to 1.
I'm just reading what it says. The real ratio of male to female psychopathy may be roughly 1 to 2 to 1. Or
Okay.
up to 5 times higher than previously estimated.
So traditionally, it used to be, and this is going back in my head, I want to say it used to be 10 to 1. And then recently, within the past 5 or 6 years, I believe the estimate went down to 1 to 6. So for every 6 male psychopaths, there was 1 female psychopath. However, again, if we look at the rules or determinations that make or quantify a psychopath and put them against modern standards and modern rules, yes, I would agree. The level is probably much higher. But to just flat out say there's more female psychopaths out there as your headline or your byline.
Well, the headline stands. There are more than what was previously reported, according to the guidelines that they're using.
Clickbaity and alarming.
Okay, well,
Especially
now
to
let's
men
go
who
to
are
the-
afraid of
let's go
female
to-
psychopaths.
hold on now. First off, don't look at me like that. So let's jump down to the comments, because that's where you find
The gems?
that's where you find the real information
Oh, really?
of what people think. And the very first comment says, "Could have told you that." Right. Ask any man over 50. Surprising to who? And these are, I'm sure, shocked you, right? These are all guys, right? No one whom isn't committed to a fictional narrative regarding women.
Ah, there we go.
Deceitfulness is a masculine trait? The question mark.
Of course.
I'm not going to read that one
Oh,
because did you just hear that? What was it?
that was a really loud.
Fox like yip right outside our window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry guys, don't mean to scare you if you're listening to the podcast. Yeah, but it keeps going. And then this guy, this Grokic, right? I read this multiple times before I gave up on it. You dimwits didn't publish my comments, which provoked people into thinking deeper on this subject and to see important connections it raises.
Oh, God.
As such, you are contributing to psychopaths getting a pass and have metaphorically and literally have blood on your hands. You are enabling this blight, and I am appalled by your lack of ethics, but it was predictable and therefore not surprising. Nevertheless, if we were living in ancient Greece, I would have you ostracized for your disregard and the harm you help bring on others.
I just wish I could just use. I wish Facebook tag groups could get used in real life, because I just want to shout at every single one of these. Hark, a man has come with an opinion.
Yes. Well, to me, this is the same as,
Oh my gosh.
I didn't like this, unsubscribe, or I've unsubscribed. It's like, you don't need to announce your departure. Just go.
Of course, this was written by a man, y'all.
Oh, how dare you?
Okay.
6%, you say? What was it? 1-6?
I think it's
There's a whole lot more crazy women that meet the psychopathic
okay.
tag.
First off, crazy does not equal psychopath.
No, that's true.
Psychopath does not equal crazy. Additionally, sociopath and psychopath are constantly interchanged and used incorrectly. Sociopaths are more likely to function in society without error should they make the appropriate decisions regarding their life, personal interactions, and career. Psychopaths can,
Are they
in
the
some
violent ones?
not always, they are both, they both
So when
have
does a
the
sociopath
propensity-
turn into a psychopath? When they're cooking a rabbit in a stew and the family
No.
pet in a pot?
No.
Well, anyway, this was supposed to be fun, and you're getting all worked up.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Okay, so let's do this. And this is from the comments.
Let me guess. It says calm down.
No, that would be funny, right? Remember, people are not psychopaths. We are not doctors. We practice medicine. John is not a bad boy. He did a bad thing. The dog is not evil. It has a disease. So what do you think about that?
Not a dog.
I'm just reading what he's put. Nobody said you were. So there, you should be looking at the comment as not you and taking it personal, but looking at what was actually said.
I don't like blanket statements.
Nobody does, but blanket statements draw in all sorts of ignorant comments. That's the best part. Because you can read the article and not be offended by it. I think it's funny because if you look at it logically, it's like, of course, this is designed to draw in and get a response. When they get the response, they win. So,
do they want that response from the 6 more female psychopaths out there?
So, no, 5 times more. So, acluistically speaking, which means speaking without a clue. Right. So, we got that term put in the corporate urban dictionary.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I just thought it was funny because, of course, this is from Study Finds where their tagline is research in a nutshell.
Basically, this dude's just telling on himself that he's now 5 times more likely to end up in a shallow grave.
No. So autism spectrum disorder and ADHD have the same problem. Women are underdiagnosed because the metrics used are designed for men.
So I went and
So would you agree with that?
Kind of.
So there you go.
I saw this and I immediately went and tried to read more research. Yeah. And then if you use a nice, dry, boring headline and the actual papers used to come to this very abbreviated conclusion, I do agree. Because the standards at which autism, sociopathy, and psychosis, all of those are geared towards a very specific time frame in human civilization, where there were certain standards for genders and everything. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I can see this. I can see how we may be underdiagnosing certain things.
Sure. I muted myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sure. Agreed.
Good.
What? Easy now. Just saying. This was just to be fair. Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the old CreepGeeks Podcast.
Are you looking to start a podcast? Then see this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify. Get helpful audience building stats and all the support you need to sound your best. They can even do video. Bring your podcast to life and have your voice heard here, there, and everywhere with Libsyn. Again, see our show notes for our unique Libsyn promo code and get podcasting.
Yes. Well, that's wrong. Now you got to read it because you showed it to me and people were like, what?
So, without knowing, a friend of mine, Hannah, shared this meme on Friday. And I had no idea about this article, which got published this week. Yeah, when did this article get published?
Not sure.
Yeah, it looks like the end of this week. So,
end of last week.
Yeah, and this is a meme where it starts off with a Guardian news headline. More women may be psychopaths than previously thought, says expert. And then there's a tweet reply. Yes, I love seeing women in male-dominated fields.
There you go.
So,
to be fair. Mm-hmm. Let's make it all fair. All right. So anyway, if you'd like to support this podcast on YouTube, right, you can follow us on Spotify. You can review us on Apple Podcasts. You can support us on Patreon, and you can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. If you use the at CreepGeeks, you can find us, just so you know. That was going to be the ad I was going to read.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Because the Illuminati's got my throat. Okay, so this is something that occurred, and this is sort of kind of blew up it sort of leads into cyber attacks I was going to talk about after this. Figured I'd go ahead and throw it in there. It's basically the AT&T cyber attack conspiracy.
Oh.
So remember how AT&T had a big problem with their phone service just not working? People are all complaining about it. And it's not working. And AT&T started giving people $5 credits, which is rare because they don't ever refund anything or give you any kind of money when it comes to infrastructure issues that they may have.
Yeah.
So AT&T issued a statement. And this is like last week. I'm trying to think. I think it was Thursday, February 22nd. It was a little while ago, right? They issued a statement to explain that the telecom's widespread network outage wasn't caused by a cyber attack. Because people were like, their service sucks. And then other people started going, I think we're experiencing a cyber attack because I'm also having weird problems. I'm having problems with my bank. I'm having problems with this. This isn't working. Facebook's not working. Messaging's not working right. All sorts of things were starting to occur and have occurred in the past like week or two. Right? Just weird things, little nuisance things.
Yeah.
So anyway, here's some theories that basically, hopefully, put to rest as AT&T investigates the exact cause of their service disruption. Here's what they said. Based on our initial review, we believe that today's outage was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, not a cyber attack.
Okay.
So that was a statement they put on their website.
Okay.
That sounds like somebody who's experiencing a cyber attack. That's something that they would put. Right?
Yeah.
An application and execution of an incorrect process as we were trying to basically expand our network. Something that says, click here. Okay. And then you let them in. Trojan horse, backdoor, all that stuff. So we are continuing our assessment of today's outage to ensure that we keep delivering the service that our customers deserve.
Yeah.
Well, they obviously felt guilty about it. They started paying. But anyway, social media wasn't having it. Right? So they had some like weird ideas that China could be behind it. Russia could be behind it. Right? A geopolitical adversary of the U.S. could be attacking some of our infrastructure. See, because here we pay for cell phone service, right?
Yeah.
Overseas and in Europe, it's considered part of a utility. It's not the same as what we do here. That's why you have fixed rates and you get better coverage and that sort of thing. Yeah. Just as you'd pay for electricity or get water here. So, according to Alex Jones, who is, I like how they put this, America's most well-known professional conspiracy theory. Like, okay. And he insisted on his show on Thursday that there was an 80% chance it was China. And a smaller chance that it would be globalists themselves who might be carrying out a false flag attack. Now, China has colleges and universities. This is what they do. They train hackers. This is part of their thing. And this has been in place for a long time to have this sort of thing occur and happen. Russia does it too. This happens a lot. And it's constant to try to gain access to things and stuff. And I mean, look at like DJI and the problem they were having with their drones.
So the bank I used to work for briefly, the call center, we had a lot of outages in the barely year and a half, almost 2 years I worked there.
Yeah.
And I'm talking, at one point, there was a 3-month period where we had an outage almost every 9 days, every 9 to 12 days.
Yeah.
With the app, with logging in. And yes, I can see it for that. I can definitely see it for like banks or investment companies, even insurance for some reason.
Yeah. Health, medical, payments, processing and portals and stuff like that.
Yeah. And this, I don't know. I've been on the fence about this, especially because, I'm in a lot of like IT humor and memes groups, And the overwhelming joke in a lot of those groups was, this was, using the several different official statements AT&T released. This was somewhere along the lines of, AT&T tried to apply a patch upgrade and then suddenly realized they fired the admin who's been in charge for the past 12 years.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So they had some junior newbie, lower paid person trying to roll out something, and that's why it affected like all of the South specifically.
Sure.
Or all of this place specifically.
Or what if somebody logged in and basically turned something off?
Because it was like a rolling blackout. Because I was awake when it first started happening. And like, I remember it was saying, currently affecting North Carolina, Tennessee,
Right.
Virginia. And then it was like, for some reason, it was hitting Texas and Arizona, you know?
Well, I mean, depending on where their servers are and their failovers, where servers pick up the load and all this other crazy tech stuff. Who knows? The outrage was initially thought to include many more carriers than AT&T, but reports to Down Detector for other phone providers were likely a result of users simply being connected to AT&T's network despite paying for another carrier for service. AT&T's network appeared to be fully restored by mid-afternoon Eastern time. So what if somebody was able to log in and apply a patch that said turn it off? Would that would be a pretty scary show?
Yeah.
If all of a sudden I got a 99% uptime, and let's just turn it all off because we can. So, and what they're saying is people were experiencing problems with possibility that they were on AT&T's network as they were traveling around, because you do that. You share cellular space when you're traveling or moving or whatever. You hit these towers. Not every tower you own not every tower you hit when you're driving along for internet connectivity or cellular connectivity on your phone is owned by like T-Mobile.
Yeah.
You bounce off servers. It happens all the time. It's called roaming.
Yep.
You just don't normally pay for it anymore.
Or like half those people had like smaller network, like consumer cellular, or
Yeah, they rent space.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and that's why
most of
you
them-
don't get priority during peak times where, you're not a T-Mobile customer, so, we
Most of
understand
them
you're renting.
rent.
We'll just kind of slow it down. But I got to tell you, man, that whole $15 a month for a phone bill is starting to look pretty tasty. It's like, but I'm afraid to try it out. You know what I mean? And I don't really have an old phone that I could use to try it out. Because if it worked pretty good for whatever, can you imagine our phone bill being like, I don't know, let's just say $500 for 6 months or even longer? That'd be fantastical. One can dream. So, okay, yeah, I mean, who knows, right? I was just glad we didn't have AT&T. Yeah. It's like, we got satellite. Show you, we're already slow, and it doesn't matter. But I mean, AT&T has business clients too that do business and important business type things. So just because you have service doesn't mean you're not getting that we won't be affected somehow. That's the whole problem with all this stuff.
Well, I want to believe that this was not a hack or attempt, like some sort of cybersecurity thing. And I do honestly want to believe that the outage was related to just
a mistake
on
Sure.
like a patch rollout or something.
If you're the new guy that happened, they can't fire you.
Yeah.
They really can't, because as you can see, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
So that's a learning thing for the company.
Yeah. And that's why the company...
And he can fire the guy that fired the other guy.
Because that was the other thing that was happening on social media is people, especially people in the IT community, were talking about tech layoffs.
Yep.
And that this is going to be more common as you lay off the more experienced IT and
So Google Music
professionals.
in Austin, Texas, they were trying to get together and unionize. Mm-hmm. And as they were going to present whatever and make a talk about it, they got laid off.
Yeah.
Show you.
Yeah.
So,
But I do find it very suspicious that despite me thinking that this was a mundane outage, that they issued the refunds.
yeah, they don't do that. Well, like, why would they do that?
That's
They don't even issue refunds when they lose your data. You know what I mean? Your data's been compromised. They tell you it's been compromised. They're like, guess what? Sorry, hey, here's some free monitoring program that'll tell you when your information's been leaked after it's been leaked. Yeah. Well, gee, thanks.
They don't even.
I'm part of that data breach settlement with Canon.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes.
So, because somebody they trusted to hold their data, whatever, man, it's a thing. It's a thing that's going to happen all too often, right? And it already does happen all too often.
But I just think, for a company so not typically willing to issue refunds or resolutions, for them to hand out these $5 refunds, that's the part where I'm like, okay.
I think they charge a lot more for their service than So let's speak of some other real quick cyber attacks that
Yeah.
basically are revealing America's infrastructure weakness. And this is from Fortune magazine. Let's see. Okay, so last week, according to this, and I'm trying to think of what the day was. This was 1st of March, right?
Yeah.
At least for last week, for at least the second time, warnings proved prescient, and Americans suffered because of a cyber attack against our critical infrastructure. One of the country's largest prescription processors took its systems offline due to a cyber attack. You know, where you get your prescriptions filled?
Yeah. I'm trying to read it because I had forgot about this.
Yeah. Well, this is what sort of spurred the whole thing. That's why I had AT&T after the fact, because my thought was, as I basically got online to get a prescription filled, right? Mm-hmm. How convenient it was to be able to do that. But imagine if it went down, you know, you wouldn't know. You'd have people trying to like remember stuff. They'd have to use handwritten records and write down. Back in the past, it wouldn't be a problem. But today it could be a problem. You've got people that can't really make change.
Yeah.
And so you become dependent on technology, right? So anyway, their systems got taken down, right? So forcing pharmacies to use manual procedures, which cause long wait times or no service, right, to a customer base that spans the globe. And this is given the impact that was included U.S. military clinics.
Yeah.
So I do the VA stuff, and which is weird because I tried to fill that prescription and it wouldn't work. Like online, I couldn't get it to go. And I'm like, either I'm going to get a whole bunch of stuff or I'm going to get nothing at all.
Yeah.
And then I went back a couple days later and was able to do it. I was like, oh, yeah. And so I thought it was just me.
No.
Well,
yeah,
their systems aren't the best. So it's just whatever. But, yeah, so with this, there's just a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
a treasure trove of alleged leaked documents on GitHub could show the scale of Chinese hacking, including an attack on NATO's Security Secretary General. There's been a lot going on.
Well, this has been going on for a long time. This is just not like a new thing. This happens all the time. I'm sure somebody sitting in cybersecurity who works for the government, it's like this happens every day.
Yeah.
You know, Beijing, every single day. And they just do it.
Yeah.
Constantly, right? And so they when they do a denial of service or when they jump in there and they really start taking things offline and causing problems, they call it a cyber bomb. So they can use that to attack our critical infrastructure at a time and place of their choosing. But because these attacks happen in cyberspace, the battlefield is less tangible, and nation-state attacks blend in with like severe outages, like AT&T's, which turned out to be a software update gone awry and not a cyber attack. What if the cyber attack was go ahead and implement that software update? You know, if you're in there, if you can get in there and you're looking around and you see that, hey, pending software update, you want to go ahead and update the server? Click. One click, sure. I'm sure it's more involved in that.
Yeah.
But so Americans might think that we are well defended and prepared against cyber attacks, right?
Yeah.
After all, it's our critical infrastructure. But we could have been more well defended and prepared. But the national infrastructure plans that are in place, the protection plan, this is a plan they use to protect us all against cyber attacks and what we're supposed to do, right? To protect our infrastructure. That thing is dated 2013.
Yeah.
So it was good in 2013. Times that we have AI that can tell you how to attack or try to capture Bigfoot. What do you think our little infrastructure plan looks like?
And I think this is very interesting because this is saying pretty much on like the federal or like the countrywide level, our plan is outdated.
Absolutely, it's outdated.
Whereas we have certain businesses and industries where they'll update that plan on a regular basis.
Well, they should.
So not every time, but sometimes when you see that new terms and conditions from iOS or Apple, it includes an update to their protection plan.
Yeah.
You know, and it's surprising because it can range anywhere from like iPhone or iOS to
Apps.
Certain apps. Like gambling apps seem to do fairly well.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the ones that don't, those are the ones you should be wary of. But some banks,
like when's the last time you were made to change your password in Facebook?
Yeah.
Or worse, Amazon. When's the last time Amazon said, we need you to change your password?
Yeah.
People rock the same password on Amazon for 10 years. It never cares.
And some banks are hip to update theirs yearly or every couple of years, whereas other banks may not.
Yeah.
So, and I shouldn't say banks. I should also...
Financial institutions.
You know?
Yeah. 16 critical infrastructure sectors are all 8 or more years out of date.
Yeah.
So the Homeland Security Secretary, Mayorkas, advocated for an approach whereby government works directly with private sector to establish minimum requirements for cybersecurity, making it clear that the regulation is inevitable. Basically saying, we're going to do something. You need to be a part of it now, or we're going to make you be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the idea is, we're going to do it, so you might as well give us your input. Because if you don't, we're just going to go ahead and make heavy-handed changes, which may or may not affect you in a way that you'd like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the industry's been invited to take its seat at the table. So we're talking about, you know, things that are part of the infrastructure. Because the vast majority of our infrastructure is privately owned. That's part of the problem. They just do what they want. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see how that works. But there's been a bunch of them, and there's links that you can click on to see how many. We're not going to talk about all of them because it's just... How many of them are unreported? The big ones you hear about.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, hey, you need to pay $2 million or we'll unlock your computer. You know, that kind of thing. And there's been companies like, we're not doing that. Yeah. So, because, you know, if you ever see them on your phone, what do? You ever seen that before? It's just pop up on your phone.
No, I haven't.
Or like, you need to do this because your phone's under attack. And you're like, man, I just want to read an article on freaking Gizmodo. Where did this come from? Yeah. If this ever happens, probably the easiest thing you could do is just immediately turn off your network.
Yeah. And
then either reboot the phone or go somewhere else on the internets.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thing. I think it's just going to get worse, but we'll see. So speaking of we'll see, let's talk about ThunderCow real quick. Because some residents have reported seeing ThunderCow. I like Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
ThunderCow I thought was pretty interesting. So the legend of ThunderCow.
Okay.
And it says residents near Lake Thunderbird, see, it's already winning, describe a mysterious encounter with an animal, right?
Yeah.
Over the past year, people near Lake Thunderbird have had mysterious encounters of the bovine kind. A cow that showed up in the Oklahoman's backyards and can't be caught. And this is from CocoNews5.com. Right? Coco News 5. This is in Norman, Oklahoma. A cow seen wandering near Lake Thunderbird has been dubbed ThunderCow.
Okay.
I believe she's real, said Jessica Kelly, a former school teacher, right? Mm-hmm. Over the past year, the people near Lake Thunderbird have basically had mysterious encounters with this cow. It just shows up, and then they can't catch it, just goes away.
I'm watching the video.
Yeah.
Like, this lady's like, so suddenly it's, you know, it's pitch black because it's at night, and she's a black cow. Next thing you know, she's standing right there. Yeah. And I'm like, oh.
I mean, that would be kind of freaky because that happened. Something like that happened to us. It was with a giant deer. We're sitting there at a stop sign. It was foggy, or a giant elk. That's what it was. Yeah. And I looked in the drive, and the thing that had full face at the window almost died right there.
Almost died.
It scared me real bad. And then I started asking it questions. And then when I turned to laugh at you because I thought it was funny, turned back, it was gone.
It snuffed at you. That was the thing, though.
It was got really loud.
Snot on you in the window.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to tell that part. Thank you very much. But, you know, the funny thing was that actually happened at Fort Stanton, which is haunted. Fort Stanton in New Mexico. A bunch of paranormal investigating teams have gone there. Ghost hunters went there. And that place we stayed in the parking lot secretly around the back. It was an unusual place.
But the thing about this ThunderCow is some residents are claiming she's not leaving hoof prints, but she is leaving cow patties. And other residents are like, yeah, I'll see her and I'll go to the spot I saw her at, and there's no hoof prints. But other residents who are seeing her say, for some reason, they only see hoof prints in the sand.
That's weird.
Because it is around this lake, you know?
It's like, I got no footprints, but I have poop.
And the cow keeps showing up, but can't be caught. So she has earned this.
Locals have no beef with the cow.
Yeah.
And some have even called the animal the mascot of Alameda. So,
Yeah. She
Yep.
travels in the dark so nobody can get her.
That's pretty smart.
Is this Norman's very own Bigfoot, or does the cow have an owner? It's unclear, but locals said she can often be spotted grazing on the shores of Lake Thunderbird during the day.
She's out there.
Yeah.
So since the encounters, is basically this lady, the one that said just snuck up on her, like in the dark, ThunderCow hasn't been hoofed, or hasn't hoofed it back yet. But she's said she's heard it from others that have seen the cow in the yards. So the legend continues to grow. It's just a random cow. She's just hanging out, and poof, this cow pops up. So that's ThunderCow. That's pretty cool. You know what's going to happen next, right? And that town's going to capitalize on it if they ever get super famous. It's going to have like ThunderCow burgers, you know, just to celebrate. It's going to be ThunderCow t-shirts. Right? We should make one of those. Do an AI. How to capture ThunderCow. Let's see what it comes up with. It's probably going to say false. You're just like, it's false. Come on.
I'm trying to work on something now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll talk about the cops that rescue a deer with plastic container stuck on its head for like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is that there's a picture of the cow, or not cow, the deer with this plastic bucket looking thing on its head. It looks pretty sad. So in Indiana, police rescued an unfortunate deer. They'd been wandering around with a plastic container stuck on its head for nearly 2 weeks. And so the Vermilion County Sheriff's Office explained that the animal's troubling predicament first came to light back on February 10th when a concerned citizen reported seeing the creature's curious condition. Although a trooper responding to the call was able to observe the deer's particular plight, an attempt to extricate it from its situation proved to be futile, as the animal ultimately wound up just dashing off into the woods. Yeah. So it wasn't until 12 days later that another officer happened to stumble on the deer, which still had the plastic container stuck on its head. Fortunately, in this instance, the animal was able to be rescued thanks to the help from additional troopers who were enlisted to lend a hand. As for how it managed to survive nearly 2 weeks in the wild with a plastic jug stuck on its head the whole time, because that was my curious on, like, how did this thing? It's 2 weeks, man, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, the department said that undoubtedly desperate deer busted the bottom of the container so they could at least drink water.
Oh, wow.
So he busted them a hole in it, which makes me think maybe he liked it. Maybe he had a little helmet and he had a little mouth hole he could drink, probably give him something to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the picture, right? We have a link to in our show notes, as we do with all of us stuff, and you can go and check it out. I mean, look at that bucket on his head. Maybe that's his thing.
Poor guy, though.
It's like, hey, guys.
Because I saw something else that was just...
Imagine how fast you could run through the trees in the woods. You don't have to worry about, branches hitting you in the face.
So
it's like a helmet. You just blast through it.
It's like safety glasses.
It's a helmet. It's a face shield. Yeah.
Yeah, face shield. Because I saw something heartbreaking the other day, and it was like forest rangers or like people who do trail work and stuff during the winter time in some states, and they come across the younger deer, and in Canada it's reindeer or wherever, and it's winter time and they're still trying to graze, but trying to graze, the motion of moving their nose against the snow causes them to get a huge buildup of snow.
Yeah.
And these like park rangers and forest rangers have to go up and basically like
smack them in the face.
Yeah, to bust the ice off their poor faces. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so sad.
You think that'd be a learned response that'd be passed down through the generations of the deer, like go up and just smack a head on this tree every once in a while.
Gosh.
Oh, buckethead deer. So it's a pitiful picture, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad he's okay and all. He just looks like, he actually looks like a dog. When you see a dog with a bucket stuck on its head, he just kind of has that look like, yeah, I know. I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Or shouldn't have done that. So anyway, there you go. I think we're going to go ahead and take a second to wrap up the old podcast because we've been talking for a minute. What do you think?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Well, I thought you were going to say something.
All right, so anyway, you've been listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode 302, Season 8, The Ocho. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out. Let us know.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Be sure to check us out on social media. We have a fairly active Facebook group. We're also on TikTok and pretty much all platforms.
And Patreon. Oh, I should have said this a long time ago, about an hour and 9 minutes ago. There's a video of our recent excursion to the Collettsville Cup House in Collettsville, North Carolina, where we just wanted to go check it out. And that video is going to be available for Patreon. And then eventually it'll be available for anybody else who wants to click on the link and watch it.
Yeah.
On our YouTube's channel, which you can go to YouTube's and listen to this podcast and not have to worry about watching anything. Although that's sooner or later going to change.
Yeah.
So, because we are hashtag listenable, whatever that's worth. So, anyway, there you go. See you later. Take it easy. Bye, Sickle.
Bye.
You don't have to sing with me, but the truth is written like a song.